Hey everybody, welcome. Welcome to live Q&A. I hope you can hear me okay. I just rebooted. I think the audio is working. If you can hear me, I'm glad you're here. And if this video ends up being helpful for you, vote thumbs up. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, it'd be great if you hit the subscribe button. And if you click the little bell notification, you'll know whenever I go live to record a video. I think that about covers everything. In the chat box, you will find one of our amazing interns. Her name's Poppy, and she is listing all of the crisis care information for anyone who may be in crisis during this video. Because, you know, when you talk about abuse recovery and adults surviving all kinds of horrific things when they're children, whether that be cult abuse, religious abuse, financial, physical, sexual, emotional, verbal, any type of abuse, it can take us back to a place that we don't want to be in. And it's really painful. And if that's you and you end up being triggered, I hope you will reach out to one of our crisis care hotlines that Poppy is putting into the chat box right now. And thank you for being here, you guys. This is the place where we've all been sort of showing up for the past almost 4 years now to hang out every single Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And I love coming here and leading the discussion. We have free groups over on Facebook. If you happen to be on Twitter and you are sending in your questions using the hashtag #NoMoreShame, they will show up here by our other amazing intern, who is Matt, who is moderating tonight. If you are in the chat box, live, or wherever the chat box is on your phone, tablet, or computer, then tag at Matt. It might be at Matt Pappas, or it could be at Beyond Your Past. I'm not sure you think I would know by now. But send your questions in on the topic of healthy boundaries while grieving, questions that you have regarding boundaries, regarding grieving, the grieving process. That's the topic for tonight. So other topics, then wait till the video is over and put them down in the comments section. And I will get to them just as soon as I possibly can. And welcome. I'm so happy you're here. There is a reason why tonight's topic is grieving, healthy boundaries while grieving. Recently, just the other day, had yet another death in my small circle of people that I spend time with. Last year, I lost 6 people. When your world is rather small and you don't spend time with a whole lot of people, but you spend time with amazing people, and you lose 6 of them in 1 year, your world gets a lot smaller. And just last week, we lost another person in our small circle of loved ones. And it was one of my husband's best friends. And last year I lost several of my mentors. Many of them were, later on in their years, in their 70s, 80s, and 90s. They had lived long, full lives. This particular friend of my husband's that we lost just the other day was not in his 70s, 80s, or 90s. I feel that his life got cut rather short, and it has hit us a lot harder than anyone could have anticipated, because you don't realize that someone is, that you're going to lose them when all of a sudden you might lose them. So this discussion tonight will be about the different types of things that come up, opportunities to establish or maintain healthy boundaries while you're in the middle of the grieving process, as though grieving isn't a full job on its own, but we have to remember that we have boundaries that we have to have with ourselves and with others. And that sometimes can be rather difficult. We're not sure how we're feeling or what it is that we need. We're not sure how to best support other people, or if we should support them, if it means that we're going to give of resources that we don't have. And that could be financial resources, emotional resources, the resource of your time, which is one of the most extravagant and valuable resources you have, the resource of your time. The time we spend here every single week is one of the most valuable and cherished things I have going on in my world. I love showing up here and spending an hour to an hour and a half of my time with all of you guys, talking about important topics and helping this community and myself live a healthier life, live a healthier lifestyle in the midst of healing from trauma. And when you throw in the mix death, especially untimely death, not that there ever is a timely death, but a death that is unexpected. My husband's dear friend was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer a couple weeks ago, and he died a few days ago. So it was that fast. And I just want to pause and thank all of you guys for being in my life. If this is a little bit too touchy-feely, woo-woo, mushy for you, this might not be the video for you to watch, because I'm just going to communicate my honest feelings and model what I feel is a healthy way to grieve and to have boundaries while grieving. And if this hits too close to home, or you're very uncomfortable with the manner in which I'm communicating or the topic, then just skip it. Take the best and leave the rest. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours of videos on this YouTube channel, and there are probably millions of hours of videos on YouTube that you can go partake in. This video that I'm recording right now is for those who have grieved the loss of a loved one, who may struggle with having healthy boundaries while being in the midst of the grieving process, who want to learn that there is a balance that can help us to grieve in a healthy way, that helps us to not run on empty, get physically ill, or make life even harder than it already is. So that's what I'm going to attempt to do here tonight. And that's the topic I'm going to discuss. And those are the questions that I will be answering. So thanks for being here. Thanks for spending and investing your time in this channel. It means the world to me. This channel is a very special part of my life, and it's helped me heal from decades of trauma. Just simply showing up here and being real on a weekly basis, rarely ever skipping a week, even in the midst of death, disaster, natural disaster, crisis, traveling, family emergencies, all of it. Here we are every week together, doing life together. And it just means the world to me that you all invest your time here and that you trust me with your life and your time, and you look to this channel to help you learn how to heal at an exponential rate and how to create a healthy lifestyle for yourself after trauma, and that you want to do that with others. That it just means a lot to me. So thank you. I will preface this video and share transparently with you that one of the boundaries that I'm having a hard time with in the midst of grieving the loss of our friend is that balance of what is too much to do. There's so much to do. There are arrangements that need to be made. This wonderful gentleman left behind a dear wife who is physically struggling, physically disabled temporarily, perhaps because she's recently had surgery. He's left behind a few pets. There are bills and arrangements to be made, and people to call, and he has a ton of work at the office where he worked with my husband that it needs to be handled. And then yet at the same time, in addition to all of that, I'm a human and I have memories of this person. And let's not make it about me. Like, my husband's human. And this was a gentleman who my husband enjoyed spending time with. And my husband was this gentleman's, probably one of his best friends here on the island we live on. And they loved to golf together. They loved to work together. Occasionally they would ride to work together, give each other rides. Whether it was going to the market and, getting some groceries, or driving to the other side of the island to do something, or planning and attending a festive occasion like a Christmas party, going away parties, out, having dinners together. These are things where, taking selfies and photos and laughing and having toasts and, ringing in holidays together. And these are things that are going to be remembered fondly. And yet there's a balance to how much of ourselves we can give in the midst of a death or a grieving process. For those of us on this channel that could maybe living with codependent tendencies, if we grew up in an environment where our needs didn't matter and our purpose in life was to meet the needs of others, and we would look to others for reality or directions or what to do or how to do it, or we would look to others for guidance to fill us up. What does life mean? What do we mean? What value do I bring to the world? If you're having a good day, then my day is going to be okay, because my life and my day is predicated upon you having a life and having a good day. If that is you and you're living with any type of that's codependency, and there's no shame in that. Like, we learned it somewhere. But when you are living with codependency and then something happens in life, like a death of a loved one, our very first instinct as a codependent is, how can I give of myself wholly and completely to make everything and everyone better? Because if I pour out myself in the midst of all of this, it's bound to make everyone's life better. I need to do, and give, and be everything for everyone, because this is a hard time. And that's all I know how to do right now. I don't know how to make it better. I can't make that person come back, but I know that I can volunteer or offer or do or give or call or drive or buy or, whatever. And that may or may not be a good idea, is what I'm suggesting and inviting you to consider. I invite all of us to consider that we might only want to give what we have. I'm inviting all of us to consider that volunteering and offering and giving and calling and going and doing and being is only adding value to the world if it's not at our own expense, if it's not at the expense of our own sanity or well-being or health. Now, Athena, that sounds like a rather harsh thing to say. This person is hurting and they just lost someone. How can you be thinking of yourself in a time like that? It's easy, because I spent the most of my life never thinking of myself, ever. Only did I ever think of myself as a means to meet someone else's needs at the expense of my own well-being. That's all I knew. And now that I have tasted and sampled and tried what it's like to only give what I have and only show up when I know that it's not at the expense of my own well-being, at the expense of my own health. Now that I know what it's like to actually have needs and know that my needs matter and know that it's okay to not be all things to all people at all times, that's how I can sit here and suggest that maybe not calling and going and doing and being and offering and sharing and and paying and buying and taking and arranging and just emptying myself out completely to the point where I get that scratchy in my throat and I'm like, I'm about ready to, I think I'm gonna be getting sick. And then I'm not sleeping well because I'm having strange nightmares because, grief is one of those things that we all handle differently. Some of us sleep better in the midst of trauma and grief. Some of us don't sleep at all. Some of us spend our time worrying or wondering if everyone's okay or planning. Or I was not extremely close with this gentleman, but my husband was, and I'm very close with my husband. This is a person whose name came up in my home every day. Every day we talked about my husband's friend. Every day there was a mention of how funny this was, or how hilarious that was, or how difficult that was, or how easy that was, or how great this is going to be, or what he did, or what he accomplished, or what he and his wife were going through. Every day we included them in our prayers. Every day they were a part of our lives. And so while all I did was answer the phone call and be the person that drove people to the airport so that they could fly, so they could get to hospitals to hopefully make it before they died, I know that my gut instinct and my knee-jerk reaction to go and be and call and say and give and sit and serve and offer might not be the smartest thing for me to do, and I'm struggling with that. Have any of you guys ever struggled with that? I'm struggling because I know that right now my plate is very full. I have been working on projects for this community and for the work that I do and the work that I bring into this world. I've been working very, very hard with a team of people to bring amazing things to you guys, and that frankly I know the world needs, because there are necessities out there that I know I'm called to do. And there's something really key here. I know what I've been called to do. I have a calling on my life. I have a purpose. And I'm asking you and I both to sit here and go, hold on, instead of instinctively giving too much and doing too much to the point where we end up getting sick or not being able to function because of overwhelm or physical exhaustion, emotional exhaustion. We need to go to the doctors because we haven't been taking care of ourselves. We're forgetting to hydrate. We're forgetting to eat because we're caught up in the moment of something going on that happens to be an emergency. I want to distinguish today in this video what the difference is between a need and a calling. Because every one of us has a calling on our life. And there are needs out there in the world. There always will be, no matter how many of them we meet. But I want to embrace the truth that not every need is a call. while the needs are great in this particular instance, in this particular situation that I'm describing, these particular needs are not my calling. And while I know that it would be a good thing for me to volunteer and help and go and do and call and be and serve and offer, it might not be the best thing. And good in this moment is the enemy of best. And that's not always easy to figure out. But sometimes it takes a situation of grieving or emergency or crisis to figure out that not every need is a call, and things that might be good might not be the best. And I'm going to sit here on May 7th, 2018 with you guys, my family, my friendly family of choice. And I'm going to call this a win, because it is not long ago that if anything were going on with anyone that I knew, my first instinct, my only instinct, and what I would have followed through with were to show up and to be the person that would sit there and to be that point person and to be the person that delegated and rallied the troops and coordinated the Meals on Wheels and made those phone calls and made those arrangements and helped that person and spearheaded that movement and coordinated that and did that and called that person and did that and wrote those letters and sent those cards. And that would have been me. Not because it was the highest and best thing I needed to be doing in that moment, but it was because it was all I knew how to do. All I knew how to do was to just blah, give of myself at the expense of my own well-being, give of myself, sacrifice myself on the altar of everyone's approval, of everyone's needs. Give until it hurts. That's how I was raised. That's what I was taught. That's what I did. So, anybody? Anybody? Am I the only one? I got to know. Am I the only one? There's got to be someone here who's been through this. What questions do you have? For the next 35 minutes, I'm going to answer your questions. And I want to thank you for listening and being part of my support system, because having a support system in place is one of the healthiest things we can possibly do. And this channel, where I invest my time every week, is one of the most important elements of my support system that I have in place. I feel good here. I feel confident. I feel skilled and adept at sharing and answering your questions and helping and giving and serving and doing all the things, but it's what I choose to do. I never come here with you guys on this channel because it's all I know how to do, and it's a compulsion, and it's what I was born to do and how I was trained. I choose intentionally to show up here every single week, and we talk about this, whatever this is that week, whatever the topic is, and I answer your questions. So I'm going to answer your questions now, and I want to thank you for being here. I can't wait to see what you guys say and what you share. You guys are just such a huge part of my world, and I want to thank you for being in it. Here we go. Oh, by the way, tag at Matthew Pappas to get your questions answered. 4 minutes left to send in your questions, and then I'll answer them tonight. Only the questions that come in within the next 4 minutes, along with all the other ones, are the ones I'm going to answer tonight, okay? Oh, and before I forget, tomorrow is our dry run. Tomorrow is our let's build the plane while we're flying it. Tomorrow night, we are going to do the daily recovery support call, and it's the free one. Now, this is what I'm offering. It's a paid thing that I'm going to be offering, right? If you sign up in the first month, it's $20 a month. And then if you don't sign up in the first month, then it's going to be $50 a month, and it's going to stay $50 a month until it goes up. But tomorrow night, it's free and everyone's welcome. And it's going to be something that we're offering every single day. I hesitate to even say this because it's not going to be like a 12-step. But you know how 12-step programs like Al-Anon and AA and other 12-step programs are, you know how there's like every day there's a meeting. You can go to a meeting every day, one day at a time. So this is daily recovery support for adult survivors of trauma survivors. So it's daily recovery support, and it's virtual. It's on the telephone, and it's $20 a month, 365 days a year. It's a bargain. I'm so excited. But anyhow, if you want to participate in that for free tomorrow, then you can go to cptsdfoundation.org, and you can click on, I think it's contact, like there's a contact form, and or there's an area. Matt is amazing. Matt, the person who's moderating tonight, who's been here every single week for a really long time, he has redesigned the whole website. And there's an area where you just click it and it says, I'm interested. And it takes you to a contact page. And then I'm so excited. So that's going to be happening tomorrow. So 2 minutes to send in your questions. Any questions that come in within the next 2 minutes, your questions will be answered tonight. I'll answer them for the next 30 minutes. And really quick, I want to say thank you to I Still Found Hope. Thank you to Hunter. Thank you to Dana. Thank you to Monica. Thank you to John Harvey. Thank you to Poppy, who, by the way, Poppy is our intern that is handling all the crisis information, and she will share that crisis information intermittently throughout the chat. So if you guys are cruising along in the midst of a conversation and then Poppy starts putting up the crisis information again, it's because I want everybody to make sure that they have it like all the time. So in case you're wondering. But thanks for sending in all your questions. And I'll start up at the very, 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 very top. 1 more minute left to send in your questions. Any more questions you want to send in? Tag at Matthew Pappas. Okay. Or if you're on Twitter, use the hashtag No More Shame. And then hopefully we'll get your question. And if we don't get it this week, we'll get it next week for sure. I'm going to be traveling next week, but I'm still doing our weekly live Q&A. The internet might just be a little bit iffy, but I'm going to be recording. I will be here. So I Still Found Hope says, it is devastating seeing my reality and all of my relationships were toxic and abusive. A new friend recently went quiet after I asked for trust and safety when we share our story. Thoughts? ? So what we're talking about, as I understand it, in this scenario, is that we're dealing with grieving. The devastation and the grief that we're feeling is realizing that all of our relationships in our life were toxic or abusive. And then there's this person in their life who's sort of ghosting her and sort of like gone all of a sudden after I Still Found Hope was saying, you know, I would really love to be able to trust you and have this be a safe space when we share our story. And so the thoughts that I have on this, I Still Found Hope, are first and foremost, I want to agree that accepting the reality that all of our relationships that we've ever had in our life were toxic and abusive, it is devastating. It is such a grieving process. It is so painful. The fabric of our reality sort of unravels. I use the visual with my clients all the time. Like, it's as though you're wearing a sweater. And if you pull on the string of like the first person you realize in your life that was unsafe, or they enabled the abuse, or they perpetuated the abuse, or they looked the other way, or whatever it might be, you pull that one little string and then it's connected to all the other people in your life. And so pretty soon your whole sweater unravels and falls down around your ankles. And you're sort of left there with no covering because it's all connected. And that can be very devastating. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Harriet, if you could pop up the YouTube card for, there's a video that I think Bobby and I did on accepting the reality of your abuse. I think it's called accepting the reality of your trauma or something like that. It's something about accepting your reality. And until we can agree to look at what is without needing it to be different, until we can get to a place where we can look at what is without the need to change the past, then we will never fully heal. We will still live in alternate universes where we're perhaps having false hope or not dealing with reality. But conversely, and sort of counterintuitively, staring at what is and the reality of our abuse and everything that happened is actually what propels us into healing and helps us to heal. Because then you're dealing with what is real and not what you think or what you wish or what you hope. You're actually dealing with what's real. And so once we're dealing with reality, then we can actually heal, because we can go, okay, this is what I have in front of me. I'm going to organize this in a way that feels safe to me, that I can navigate, and I can just take one step today, because all I have is today, and all I have is just this moment right now. And if I know that I have it all here and that there's not more waiting somewhere that I've denied or shoved aside or numbed out from or whatever, if this is really everything, if this is really the reality that I'm dealing with, at least I know that I can find a way to deal with it all. And I've survived this long, so I can survive longer. And so I still found hope in their situation. In addition to that, they're dealing with a person who's now ghosting them. And sort of like they thought they were a safe person. Ironically, we're on the topic of the devastation of knowing that our relationships were all not healthy and they were toxic. And yet here's this person that we thought was a safe person that we could trust and confide in. And, you know, that when we're going to share our stories, like, I would like this to be a safe thing. I would like to be able to trust you. And then all of a sudden this person's like, poof, gone. And so it feels to me, I still found hope. You're asking what my thoughts are. My thoughts are, this person that you may have trusted or thought was a safe person may not be the safest person. And so that's an additional thing to grieve. But I want to give you some hope if I can. And that is that as you get healthier on your own, without the help of anybody else, obviously, because they're ghosting you, as you get healthier, you will attract healthier people. And this type of thing will happen less often, if ever, because all of a sudden you're attracting healthier people. This doesn't, what I'm giving you, my thoughts that I'm giving you right now are not helping you right now. These are not going to feel good today, but I want to give you hope for the future. And that is that I've been in this situation. I had some friends that I thought were like good friends or like safe people, and they turned out not being very safe. And they kind of made things more traumatizing and painful for me. So, but I promise the future gets better. And I know that that feels like an empty promise, but I've been around the block enough times and been around on this trauma recovery journey for over 17 years now. And I'm telling you that it gets better. And if it didn't get better, there's no way I would be able to even be sitting here, because I probably would have driven my car off a cliff or something if it doesn't get better. Like I was seriously contemplating suicide during part of my life, because I had the inability to cultivate safe relationships or anything good and healthy. I was just a train wreck, and all I knew how to do was attract other train wrecks, so that we were just this little clan of train wrecks going around and wrecking one another's lives and attracting more drama. And as I got healthy, that stopped. So I just want to give you some hope that it will stop. It might stop slowly, but it will stop. I'm going to take a drink of water now because I'm thirsty. And I'm going to go on. Oops. Whoa. Whoa. Did you see that? That was ninja. I almost dropped my water and I didn't. I almost dropped my phone and I didn't. I caught them both and I didn't spill anything. And I didn't fall off of this little chair ottoman teeter thing that I'm doing right now. That was straight up ninja. I have cat-like reflexes. Okay. So next question I'm going to answer is Hunter's, but I'm going to take some water first. Okay. So I hope that was helpful. That answer was helpful for you. I still found hope. Let me know. And if there's anything we can do to encourage you further, we totally will. So Hunter's question is on the topic of grieving innocence lost rather than grieving a person or the health of relationships, which is the topic we were just grieving. We were grieving the fact that we have never had healthy relationships that weren't abusive or toxic. This is grieving innocence lost. This came up recently with a couple of clients of mine, actually. It's interesting when you're working with people and like there's always like a common theme with everyone that's working together, but they're not working together. They're working separately, but with you. And so Hunter, this is right on topic. They both wanted to know about my story of losing my innocence and how I dealt with losing my innocence. And Hunter's question is this: how do I help people understand that I need time to become whole again after grieving lost innocence before pursuing a relationship? And first, I want to just acknowledge something, Hunter, if I may, and that is that you are rather young, and yet you are so wise. And what I mean by that is I'm going to be 45 years old this year. And I don't think, it's only been a few years or so that I knew that I was going to need to be able to grieve this type of thing before moving on with life. Like, I never even knew that I needed to grieve my innocence until about 4 or 5 years ago, and that was, I was still 40 when I realized that. And so knowing, first of all, that we do need to grieve our innocence, because grieving, by the way, I probably should have started this whole thing off with like, what is grieving? Because people think that it needs to be like flowers and roses and grave sites and, or playing taps or, folding the American flag, or there's a coffin and it's being lowered and, funerals and memorials. And, that's not always grieving. Grieving in and of itself is the painful feelings involved with something you wish was different. So I have a painful feeling right now, and the thing that I wish was different, it's a direct result of what I wish were different. And what I wish were different is that my husband didn't just lose one of his best friends. And I wish that this person that passed away didn't have a wife that was absolutely devastated, left by herself, being in a lot of physical pain. And now she's in a lot of emotional pain, and she has pets to take care of and arrangements to make and things to do and bills to pay. And there's so much to do. But that's a grieving process. So what Hunter's talking about and what I have personally dealt with is grieving the loss of our innocence. So here we are, we're adults, and then we realize that something was taken from us at a very young age. A lot of the people on this channel are adult survivors of childhood sexual trauma, meaning that they were touched or exposed to sexual things at a very young age. and therefore their innocence was stolen from them. They didn't get to gradually and organically mature to an age where they could experience curiosity and sexual things at their own pace, with their own choice and their own volition. And so, Hunter, what I would say to you is that you can't control other people understanding that you need time. All you can control is you. And that being said, I think simply just saying what you said here, which is, I need some time to process and deal with and heal from some things before I will be able to move into that direction. And unfortunately, we can't control whether or not that is going to be heard or received or respected or considered. But simply being able to communicate that need is a huge, huge, huge accomplishment that many never achieve. And I don't mean this in a placating or congratulatory way, Hunter. But what I will say to you is this: I have clients that are well into their 70s, maybe even 80, no, 70s. I have clients that are well into their 70s that are unable to articulate what you have just articulated. And that is that you need time to become whole again after grieving your innocence that was lost. I support you in simply doing that and being patient with yourself and knowing that not everyone will understand and not everyone will respect your boundary. But I encourage you to hold firm to that boundary and take as much time as you need. If you intuitively know that you need time before you can move forward in any type of relationship because you're still processing what it even means to have your innocence taken from you, and how do I feel comfortable in my own body, and why don't I like being around people, and physical touch doesn't feel safe, and why are you in my personal space, and what's it going to be like when I'm together with somebody and we're not just hanging out as friends and it's going to be more, and I'm not sure about that. And there's all these thoughts and things that come into our mind, and we don't know how to deal with all of those because we're still processing the fact that like bad things happened and a lot of people don't understand it or believe it, and they move on as though nothing's ever happened. And they're just like, oh, that was a long time ago, get over it. And that's unfortunately not an answer. And it never will work that way, ever. And so, Hunter, I think just communicating what it is that you communicated is a huge accomplishment. And I'm proud of you and wish that I could have articulated myself as perfectly and accurately as you have at your age. It's amazing to me. So I don't know that I was of any help, but I will be of as much help as I possibly can. And do let me know how it goes with these people that you're trying to convince, because some people just won't ever realize things or look at things for what they are because it interrupts their reality in their own head that they've constructed. It threatens to challenge the belief system that they've bought into. They're heavily vested into not believing that anything bad ever happened to you. And so they will ignore you and like, la, 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 I do not hear you, like that type of thing, because they don't want their carefully constructed reality to be invaded by your truth. So there are many people that don't want to listen to my truth. They don't believe my truth. They could give two shits about my truth because it is in direct conflict with the perfect little pretty picture of what they have for their life and how they think life is. And those people just don't deserve to know me or hang out with me or spend time with me. I don't spend time with people that I can't be myself around. I just don't. I've decided that I'd rather hang out on my YouTube channel with thousands of people who like me for who I am than in person with like 5 people who would prefer that I just shut the fuck up and not talk about anything that makes them feel uncomfortable. So I believe you've found your tribe, Hunter. We are your tribe. We are your people. And we understand that it's going to take some time because we're all taking our time and we're doing the best we can. So I hope that is of some comfort to you. Just seeing that that's possible, because I get you, you know? Dana says, what do you do when your husband doesn't allow you to feel at all? Been there. I'm good at holding things inside, but I feel like I could crumble. Yee. Oh my goodness, Dana, this is a hard one. My husband is one of those people where his life and his reality, they were as perfect gets. Like, there is no such thing as perfect, but I mean, he was raised in a good enough family with good enough parents, with good enough siblings and good enough jobs and good enough friends and good enough. And when I'm saying good enough in air quotes, I'm referring to Pete Walker, complex PTSD from surviving to thriving. None of us needed perfect parents or a perfect upbringing. We just needed a good enough upbringing and good enough parents and good enough situations so that we didn't become traumatized and crippled in adulthood, trying to learn how to be a grown-up when we're already a grown-up, which is really effing hard. And so Dana, my husband, was one of those people who had the good enough, right? And so here I come and he thinks that I look good enough and he interacts with me and I'm acting good enough. And then we get married. And then like a few years down the road, I'm all of a sudden not okay. And so he would say things, Dana, he would say things like, oh, don't feel that way. No, you shouldn't feel that way. You're doing great. And it took a lot of courage for me one day to say to him, I mean this with the utmost respect and love, but don't tell me how to feel. My feelings are not right or wrong. They're my feelings. And if I'm telling you that I feel this way, I need you to allow me to feel however it is I'm feeling and not need to fix me. I don't need you to fix me. I might just need you to listen, and I might just need you to hold a safe space for me, or to pray for me, or maybe just handle the kids for 20 minutes while I go have a meltdown or whatever it is that you need. But Dana, the first step in all of this is letting your husband know that you're going to be in a place where you're going to need to be able to communicate your needs, because you're just recently discovering that you have needs and that they matter. And one of your main basic needs is for him to be able to perhaps hear you and receive what it is that you have to say, and not need to fix you, but perhaps just hold a safe space for you. And maybe you could like I told my husband, I said, I don't even know what my needs are. Sometimes you'll ask me like what I need. And I'm like, I don't know. I have no clue. Like, I remember when my son left for the military, and my husband and I were just dating at the time. And he asked me if I was hungry. And I was like, I don't know. I was kind of just like having kind of a moment. I wasn't sure. And he's like, well, what would you like? Like, I could make a delicious salad. We could maybe go out for sushi. And I was just like, I don't know. Well, do you want a glass of wine? I was going to maybe have a glass of wine. Like, we could watch the sunset. You want a glass of white wine? You want a glass of red wine? And I was just like, I don't know. Like, I wasn't trying to be a freak. I wasn't trying to like play the victim and be like some weirdo. Like, I just didn't fucking know. Like, I just didn't know. Okay. I was grieving the situation of my son being with me every day of his life for 17 years, and now he's gone, and I don't fucking know what to do with myself. Like, I don't know. I don't know if I'm hungry. I don't know if I'm thirsty. I don't know if I need to take a shower. I don't know if I want to go somewhere. I don't know. And so it took me sort of like melting down and telling my husband, who was my boyfriend at the time, and he still married me. Like, hello, come on. Like, he still married me, even though like that was what I was like. So I think creating an environment for yourself, Dana, by establishing with your husband that you're going to have some needs that you're not sure what they are, but you might just need a safe space to maybe like a buffer so that you can go melt down and then like come back when you're okay, or, you know, just finding the courage somehow, Dana, to communicate your needs and letting your husband know that it would mean a lot to you if he would allow you the space you need to be human, because you're struggling with some things. And, you know, it takes a lot of courage. I say this like it's so easy, right, Dana? But it's not easy. It's hard, and it takes a lot of courage. And I am sending you all of my solidarity, support, strength, prayers, love, all of it, compassion, because I know that that's not easy. It's really hard, really, really hard. So I hope that was helpful. It might not have been. And if it wasn't, I'm sorry. But oh, there's part 2 to your question. I just saw. And then I will go back and I will answer Monica's question. So part 2 of Dana's question was, what do you do when your husband won't allow you to feel anything and you don't know how to reach out to friends? I do what I just did. I usually do it in the opposite order. I just melt the hell down and like don't know what to do, and I lose it. And then I end up coming to him and saying, I'm so sorry. I'm such a freak. Like, I think what I'm really feeling is this, and I might be wrong. It might not be that, but I don't really know what to do. And, you know, he's gotten better over the years, Dana. It's only been 7 years. We've only been married 7 years. We've been together for over 8 years, but, and we've probably known each other for about 10 years, but, this has been a huge learning curve for him, Dana. I won't lie. He was single for a lot of decades and dated very sporadically, and basically just spent his time sort of hanging out with friends and you know, volunteering and you know, hiking and traveling and like just doing fun stuff. Like, you know, the last thing he had to worry about was some, you know, girlfriend or wife that had been traumatized and was on some sort of recovery journey. Like, so what I do when my husband won't allow me to feel anything and I don't know how to reach out to my friends is I ask him if it's a good time and could we please sit down and talk. And then I simply let him know that I don't need him to fix me. I just would like for him to listen to me. And then I proceed to melt down and tell him everything that's on my mind. And then he proceeds to usually now, like probably like be very affirming and tell me that it's okay, that everything's going to be okay, and that it's okay that I feel this way. It's acceptable. And then he'll usually pray for me. So if you're not a praying woman, or if your husband's not a praying man, maybe the other parts of what I said will ring some bells for you and be like a helpful sort of, and sometimes, you know, guided communication can be really, really helpful. Like I have this like conflict resolution thing that my husband and I did. I sort of initiated it like early on in our marriage, where I would say something along the lines of, when you fill in the blank, I feel fill in the blank, I would prefer fill in the blank, I need fill in the blank. And then I would thank him for being, I would think of something that I was very grateful for about him. And then he would mirror back to me what he thought I said. And then once everything was like, yes, that's what I meant. Yes, that's what I meant. Then he would say, well, when you and blah, 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 I feel, and he'd be like, I don't know how I feel. And then he would say, I need this to be over with, or like, you know, he would try to play along as much as possible, but we would use guided communication like that. And it actually ended up like strengthening our marriage so that we could communicate more effectively. So I hope that's helpful. I don't know. That sounds a little woo woo, but I'm telling you, it works. I promise you it works. And this is for like my husband who would like barely dated. Like he just, you know, was very just independent and just like did his own thing and not a lot of touchy-feely nonsense. Like he was just like guy, you know, like he's just a guy. So, but it's been working, and it has not always been easy, and it still isn't, but it's working, you know? So Monica says, will grieving ever get easier? I always feel better after I cry, but I still distract myself from it at times. It can feel overwhelming still. I want to be honest with you, Monica, and I won't say that I think grieving ever gets easier. I think that what it does do is, after a while, when we've grieved some things, I think the grieving process doesn't ever get easier, but it gets shorter sometimes. For me, it has, at least. It's gotten shorter, but it doesn't mean that it's easier. It's gut-wrenchingly painful. It rocks my world. It can throw me into like an emotional flashback or a place that's just not a happy place, not a good place, not a healthy place. But I find that I'm stuck there for less time. So it speeds it up a little bit. And I'm not trying to say at all, like time heals all wounds. Like that's not what I'm saying at all by saying that it takes less time. I'm not saying that time is what helps. I'm saying that as we exercise that muscle of releasing the need to change the past and allowing ourselves to feel all the feelings we have about things that we can't control or things that we wish were different, the more we do that, the less time we stay stuck in it, and the less time we feel paralyzed by it, and the more adept we are at moving through that process rather than trying to go around it or under it or over it. So I don't always feel better after I cry, but usually I do. I do still distract myself from it at times. But I do still get overwhelmed, but I also will say that I feel like I stay stuck for less time. I hope that's helpful. John Harvey says, how can you open up to someone when you are grieving, but you can't trust enough to let anyone healthy in? Oh, John Harvey, I know this. I know this space very well. This was me for most of my life. Oh my goodness. I'm going to take a drink of water really quick, you guys. Okay. And then I'm going to answer John Harvey's question. So John Harvey again asks, how can you open up to someone when you're grieving, but you can't trust enough to let anyone healthy in? For me, John Harvey, and all I have is my perspective, and then of course the perspective of people that I've helped along the way. Learning to trust our own judgment, learning to trust ourselves takes time. And the way we do that is through making healthy choices over and over and over and over and over again, becoming congruent with ourselves, staying in alignment with ourselves, and learning to trust that we have the ability to create safety in our life by choosing healthy people. And so the only way to do that is to become congruent or do things that remain in alignment with ourselves. Ooh, Harriet, if you could pop up the YouTube card of healing our intuition through congruence, that might be a really helpful video for you, John Harvey, because it's not until we can trust ourselves and our own ability to create safety in our lives that we can actually trust other people. Because even if we're surrounded by trustworthy people, we don't trust ourselves that we chose the right people to be around, because we're so used to being unsafe because we've had unsafe people around us. So I would say that the most solid advice I could give you, John Harvey, is to trust your gut. If your gut tells you this person might not be a safe person for me to open up to, then don't do it. Just don't. Trust your gut. Trust your gut. You all, we are here on this journey, and we need to learn to trust ourselves. It's one of the first hallmark foundational principles of healing trauma, learning how to trust ourselves. And the reason that we need to learn that as a foundational principle is because once we learn to trust ourselves, we will believe that we have the ability to create safety in our life, and that we are not going to continually be victimized by others and re-traumatized by others, because we have everything we need to recognize and realize those things and have those bells go off and those red flags. And then we heed those red flags. We pay attention to those to those things that cause us to pause and go, wait a second, that might not have been the safest situation. Maybe I won't proceed down that route because it feels familiar. Like I know that might not be the safest thing to do right now. So learning to trust ourselves, John Harvey, is going to be one of the first things. And I would say that you have done an excellent, stellar job of remaining in alignment with yourself within the context of our support groups. You're very active in our support group online, and you have remained in integrity with yourself, and you have created a safe space for yourself, and you openly share what you feel safe sharing, and you are very respectful of other people's boundaries, and that is remaining in alignment with yourself, congruent with yourself, and that is, believe it or not, without even knowing it, building trust in yourself, which is one of the foundational principles of trauma recovery. So you're doing all the things, even though you don't know you're doing all the things. So I'm super proud of you, and I hope that was helpful. Poppy says, you are not alone. Thank you. I was feeling rather alone the other day. I was like, this totally sucks. I just don't know what to do. You are not alone. Grief triggers the expectations of my codependent, people-pleasing perfectionist. Me too. Oh my gosh. It is hard to remember people love us for who we are to them, not what we do for them. Yes, that is true. I'm going to read this again because this is some good advice for all of us. Poppy is on the soapbox, preaching the truth. Can I get an amen? You are not alone. Grief triggers the expectations of my codependent, people-pleasing perfectionist. It is hard for me to remember that people love me for who I am to them, not for what I do for them. Thank you, Poppy. Mic drop. Seriously, I needed to hear that. Thank you. John Harvey says, you are not alone. Oh, thank you. Thank you, John Harvey. You all are just so amazing. Our support groups have helped me through this situation. I went into the groups this past weekend or week or whatever, whenever my husband's really good friend passed away. And I was just like, you all, I am just not okay right now. Like every codependent bone in my body is telling me that I need to go and do all the things for all the people right now. And I have like invented this entire committee, like the itty bitty shitty committee that Jody Amen talks about. I've invented an entire itty bitty shitty committee who is judging me for all I'm not doing to help this family that is enduring this loss. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm not okay. Seriously. But so many people had like wonderful words of wisdom and helpful advice and support and, you know, virtual hugs and high fives. And oh my goodness. Rhonda says, of all the channels available on YouTube for me, this is the safest and the most welcoming place where I know I can come without judgment. Rhonda, thank you. I'm so glad. You guys, we're reaching the goals. We're doing all the things. I want this so much to be a safe and welcoming place where we can come without judgment, right? And remember, like Poppy's posting all the comments in all the places over here in the box, you know, if you're unkind to any of the people, you get banned and you get deleted and you get blocked and you don't get to come back because this is a safe space. You guys are amazing. My heart is just so full. I'm just so grateful for you. Look, we only went 4 minutes over. Yes. Is that like, what is that? It's a record. 4 minutes is a record. Okay, so head over to cptsdfoundation.org and put your name in or something if you're interested in the free daily recovery support call that's happening tomorrow, which is just, we're testing it. It's free. It's beta. It's whatever. It doesn't cost any money. We're just all going to show up. And you know what? It's going to be at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, because that's the time that we're normally here on Mondays. But the calls are not always going to be 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. We're coming up with a call schedule. Just so you know, we're coming up with a, hold on. I'm like losing my voice again. Let me just get some water. We have a call schedule. And this is just so you know, like I was sharing before. Hold on. I get so excited. I just need to drink some water first. Okay. So Matt and I are coming up with a call schedule because these calls are not going to be all led by me, and they're not all going to be led by Matt of survivingmypast.net and beyondyourpast.com and moderator here on this YouTube channel and podcaster extraordinaire. Like, we are not the only two people that are going to be leading these calls. I have sent messages, DMs, emails, a whole bunch of other practitioners, doctors, speakers, advocates, and they are going to help lead calls as well. Specialists in certain fields of trauma recovery and healing of all different shapes and sizes, all different types of healing, but all of it related to recovery. Right now, it's starting off with trauma recovery, and then it will end up branching out to other types of recovery, like recovery from eating disorders, recovery from addiction, recovery from self-harm, recovery. So, my thing is going to start. It's going to start ding, ding, dinging, you guys. I'm going to have some text messages coming through. Oh my goodness. I have, my phone's been blowing up. By the way, thank you for all of, this is more text messages coming in about the tsunami, the earthquakes, and the volcano that's erupting here where I live in Hawaii. The tsunami did not affect me. It was very small. The earthquake was rather large, and it has affected a couple of the islands, but it did not affect me. I'm still totally fine. And the volcano is erupting, and I have friends that have been evacuated from Leilani, but everybody's safe. No one has died and no one is hurt right now that I know of, that are people that I know. But thank you for all of the messages. Like, they just keep pouring in of, people concerned about Hawaii. So I just want to say thank you. So back to daily recovery support. So there will be people coming and leading the calls. Each call will be about an hour. Oh my God. You all are just amazing. Seriously. Thank you. So the calls will be about an hour. And we start off with trauma recovery, and then we branch out into other forms of recovery, eating disorders, addiction, self-harm, all kinds of recovery related, but it's starting off with just trauma recovery. And as we know, trauma is the root to a lot of other things like addiction, self-harm, eating disorders. Like, a lot of it has trauma roots. And then the eating disorder or the addiction or the self-harm or whatever happened to be like the leaves and the petals of the flower. But the root, a lot of the time, not all the time, but a lot of the time, is trauma. And so these are going to be daily recovery support calls, in addition to all the other stuff going on at the CPTSD Learning Center, where all the stuff's going to be downloadable and you can like click it and buy it and go through it at your own pace. But these are live and they're interactive and they're every single day of the year, 365 days a year. Tomorrow is a dry run. And if we're going to do one the next day or the next day or the next day or the next day for free, we'll let you know. Don't know. Depends on how everything goes. We're going to be taking suggestions tomorrow, though, during the call. We will have a call outline. We'll explain everything to you when you call in. You will likely have a call-in number that you can call from your phone, or a link you can click that will take you to a website where you can listen in audio. This is not videos. Like, this is not what's going on right here. This is not going to be videos. Anything video will be like a bonus. I'll always show up here for free every Monday. Like, this is my life. This is you guys. Like, this is my life. And so I'll be here every Monday, like I always am. But daily recovery support calls, like calls on either you listen or with your earbuds, or you can click and go to a website and listen. It's audio. There will be a chat box that you can chat in. And ask questions in. We'll probably open it up, like if somebody wants to speak and ask a question with their voice, and then we'll answer the question. It'll be kind of like Q&A, but there's going to be other like supportive elements to it. And so, but we'll be taking suggestions, and I would love for all you guys to be there. So if you're available on the 8th of May, 2018, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, which would be the 9th of May at 2 a.m. if you're in the UK, then because we have a lot of UK peeps. And then it will be, let me tell you what time it will be in other places. I have a whole bunch of clients and people in our community. So it will be at 9 p.m. in New York. It will be at 2 a.m. in London. It will be at 3 a.m. in Paris. It will be at 3 a.m. in Cape Town, South Africa. It will be at 5 a.m. in Abu Dhabi. It will be at 9 a.m. in the Philippines. It will be at 11 o'clock a.m. Wednesday morning. Wednesday morning in London, Paris, it'll be 2 a.m. on Wednesday in London, 3 a.m. in Paris on Wednesday, 3 a.m. in Cape Town, South Africa, 5 a.m. on Wednesday in Abu Dhabi, 9 a.m. in the Philippines. It will be at 11 o'clock a.m. in Sydney, Australia. And those are all the places that I have right now. And it will be at 6 p.m. in Los Angeles. So, and then if you happen to be in Fayetteville, Arkansas, like one of my clients, then it will be at 8 p.m. So hopefully that covers everyone, and that's on Tuesday. So Tuesday evening, Wednesday morning, depending on where you're at in the world, May 7th or May 8th, May 9th, 2018. And yeah. So, and then we'll just announce more on that call. And all the calls will be recorded and saved for any of the members to go back and listen to and read the chat transcripts. And I just plan on it being this amazing new venture, a new way to show up and provide value to this community. And it's at a very, very, very low affordable cost to everyone. So not everyone can afford $20 a month. I know that that is a luxury in a lot of people's lives. I do have some scholarships. I have a gal who's blind and disabled. And I have another person who has been unemployed for about 7 years due to a physical disability. I have someone who's inpatient at a treatment center, and a lot of these people can't afford, right? So we're considering scholarships on a case-by-case basis. We can't say yes to all the scholarships. Right now, I think we're only going to say yes to one of the scholarships. We'll do what we can, right? And then, but $20 a month is pretty affordable. I'm hoping that you guys will join us, but tomorrow's free. Tomorrow's free. So free is always good. And we'll go from there, and I'll have more announcements. And if you want to be notified about all of this, then either sign up over at cptsdfoundation.org or send an email to Lisa and letting her know that you're interested. Lisa at cptsdfoundation.org. She's my assistant. And so far, I believe there are 31 of you, 30 or 31 of you that want to be involved with the free or the paid. And then there are 94 of you that are interested in finding out about everything else CPTSD Foundation related, and taking classes and courses and just everything. So that's like over 100 and something of you already. And that's amazing. So thank you. I'm so honored. I'm so excited. So I'll see you guys tomorrow on the daily recovery support call, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, 2 a.m. in the UK and all the other places that I already mentioned. And in order to get information about that, send an email to Lisa at cptsdfoundation.org or go to cptsdfoundation.org to sign up and put your email address in and just let us know that you're interested. Okay? So yay, I'm so excited. And if that's not for you, no worries. And if you're watching this too late and you're like, it already missed the date, like that was years ago, Athena, then that's okay. I'll still continue showing up here every Monday, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and I'll always be recording these videos for you guys, and they're always free. So thanks for being here and for being a part of my life. I really appreciate you guys so much, and I will see you right back here next Monday, right here, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. And I'm not sure what the topic's going to be yet. We'll probably continue on our series that we were doing on safe people versus unsafe people. And I'll be traveling, so pray for internet. Okay? All right. Bye, you guys.